Pearl L. Crawford Memorial Library Board of Trustee meeting. It's September 26, 2017. Let's begin the meeting with Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, first we will, has everyone gotten a chance to review the minutes from last month's August 22nd meeting? Okay, any discussion, comments? Good.
I'll make a motion to accept as presented.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Sorry.
Okay. First and foremost, we want to welcome Randy Booth, our newest trustee. So welcome to the board.
Thank you for having me.
We're very excited to have you. You'll bring some nice, fresh energy. All right, Karen.
Which is always better than old energy, I'm sure.
Sometimes
I don't know.
New ideas?
No, certainly, I'm sure.
That's what I meant.
You're welcome.
All right.
Okay. Had a pretty busy August with the culmination of our summer reading program. Lots of different kinds of programs going on for all ages. And we also had a little brief program where we handed out solar eclipse glasses, so that was kind of fun.
And they worked well.
They did work well.
They worked very well.
Yeah, that was really fun. We were one of the only libraries in the area that handed them out
Yes, you were.
like that. And we were even
Students on
kind of
campus
loaning
were
them
freaking
to.
out.
Yeah, we were even kind of loaning them to people as they came in, and we ran out at the end of the day. So
That was a great idea.
yeah. And so our chess club has started up with a young man from Shepherd Hill who's running it. It was on Wednesdays. He's gone over to Saturdays now that we're open on Saturdays. And that's turned out to be an all ages program from, it's, 12 and over. And we've had kids who are 12 and kids who are 75.
Oh.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
So,
That's
yeah.
good to mix up. It's
Yeah.
great.
I'm really glad. It's, you dip your toe in the water and see how it is sometimes. So, let's see. So, again, it was the end of our summer reading program, and the summer concert was a big hit. Everybody really liked Hungry Town. And we had about the same amount of people come through for the ice cream party as we did last year. I want to say we had 93 last year. So, that was fun. And let's see, the Friends fundraiser dinner at the public house, it's almost impossible to kind of differentiate between our library, our entity and another one. It was St. Anne's, and they had 446 people. So that was quite a significant fundraiser for the Friends. So yeah. It was a good thing. You can't do it every year, but I think they plan on doing it not next year, the year after again. And many thanks to Anne Marie Safai, who organized that and pursued it and made it come to fruition, really. So she's great, and we thank her. Every now and then I throw in foot traffic through the door or some other statistic like computer usage or circs, and I figured it would be useful to throw in some foot traffic numbers. And I included the last couple of fiscal years so that I can show you that we've seen an increase in people through the door for the last 3 fiscal years, and hopefully we'll see an even better result this year. I think that's pretty sustainable. Any more than that, and we'd be in trouble just because of the staff that we have and the budget that we have. So, but mostly the staff. The more people through the door, the more people it takes to run the library. So we want to make sure we're growing in a sustainable way. So, anyway. And let's see, and that does not include Fell's Room program attendance. So, maybe another 100 or so on top of that over the course of the month, give or take, because they don't come through the people counter usually. We have a people counter, but it's after the Fells room. So, let's see. These are our new calendars. If you turn to the next couple of pages, I thought these were better than just kind of regurgitating everything in a list format. And plus it's kind of fun because Patty took up the youth one, combined the children's and the young adult, and then did one for the adults because I thought it was such a great idea. And people love these. They love to grab them when they come in the library. So, so coming up, we've got a special story time. I'm just going to hit the highlights. Again, for the people watching, these events are all listed on our Pearl L. Crawford Memorial Library website under the calendar. So I'm not going to go through every single thing. I'm just going to hit the special items. But everything is on our web calendar. And these great calendars are also, I'm going to turn them into PDFs and put them on the website, just a link to them on the website so that people can download them and print them if they want to as well. So for the youth, in October we have coming up a book face contest, and that's not to be confused with Facebook. That's where you take a book with a face on it and hold it in front of your face, and someone takes your picture and sends it in, and we've got a couple of gift cards that will be available at the end of the month. One of the staff did one with a partial, and it was wild. It actually looked a little bit like her, so it's kind of crazy. So that starts on October 2nd, and again, the details are on the website and on the teen page, and it runs until the 20th of October. So from October 2nd to October 20th, teens have an opportunity to take a picture, you know, with a book with a face on the cover, email it in to Heather Roberts, and we're going to post them on Facebook for the last week of October. And people, the one with the most likes will win the gift card basket. So looking forward to that. And we're going to put the pictures up as well. On the Friday the 6th, we've got a special story time with Buzz Lightyear. That is Friday the 6th at 10:30. And that is the Massachusetts Educational Financial Association is going around to different libraries. This is an initiative on their part to talk to parents about college funding, believe it or not. And so they're bringing, you know, special kids storybook characters with them, and they get to have a story time with the character, and then the people from MIFA will speak to the parents about college funding. So yeah. So that's at 10:30 on Friday the 6th. We're closed over Columbus Day weekend. On the 12th, which is a Thursday at 5:30, we have a family movie, Captain Underpants. That's the new Captain Underpants. And on the 16th, which is a Monday at 6 o'clock, we have a bullying prevention workshop, and that's with New Hope of Massachusetts. We had one last month with teen dating violence, and that flyer went to the schools. And it wasn't as well attended as I had thought, but you know, we'll hope for the best with this one. They brought a bunch of information. We had some people the people who attended, I think, got a lot out of it. So hopefully we'll get a little bit larger audience for the 16th, and that's a Monday evening at 6 o'clock, and that's on bullying prevention. And what they do is they talk to the either teens or the tweens together with the parents. There's sort of a little mini presentation all together, and then there's two people from New Hope, and they break out the parents from the younger kids and talk to them separately for the last 15 or 20 minutes or so. So let's see, we've got a kids craft on the 21st, which is a Saturday at 11 o'clock. I believe it's going to be a fall apple, which will be a cutout apple. Patty's going to run that, so she's looking forward to that. That flyer is already in the library. And last but not least, I would like to mention that our Friends of the Library Fall Book Sale is coming up in October. The member preview is the 26th, which is a Thursday, from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. You can join as a friend that night if you wish. And the regular open book sale commences on Friday the 27th of October from 10 to 5, and on Saturday from 10 to 2. And I just want to mention that this year they rejigged how booksellers are allowed to visit, because they come in with the counters and things like that. And they are will only be invited in on Saturday this year. So if you're a bookseller, come on Saturday from 10 to 2. And then, I almost forgot, there's a teen movie on the 30th, and the movie is Clue. That's it, on a Monday, the 30th at 5 p.m. in the teen room, and there will be free popcorn for that. That's youth. And in October for the adult programming, we do have a Friends of the Library Afghan raffle that is going to be going on through the month of October. It will be on display on October 2nd in the tall case. As you walk in the library, it is a tall lighted case. It has old books in it right now. We did this a couple of years ago, and the knitters at the library they all make squares, and then someone generously volunteers to put the whole thing together and block it. So this year it's along the same lines. It's a sampler Afghan. It's beautiful. It's in a slightly different color. And tickets will be $2 each or 3 for $5. And the winning ticket will be pulled on the last day of the book sale. The last moment of the book sale. Other things going on for adults in October, we have our book discussion, which is A Man Called Uva by Frederick Backman, and that is on the 5th, Thursday the 5th at 6 o'clock. It's a quick read, so I think people, if they're still interested, can pick up a copy at the library and finish it in time for that book discussion, if they're so inclined. Every Friday from 10 to 12 we have our knitting group. And on the 11th we start up our 4th and final session of the year of chair yoga, which is a very popular program. And I forgot to mention, many of these programs, both youth and adult, are sponsored by the Friends of the Library. The Book Face Contest, the Kids Craft, the Teen Movie, and the Bullying Prevention. And as far as adult programs, the chair yoga is sponsored by Friends of the Library, and a couple of others. On the 19th, which is a Thursday, from 6 to 7:30, we have a chap coming. His name is Sam Ducharme, and he's going to talk about his experience through hiking the Appalachian Trail. This is a program, one of my colleagues in another library recommended him and said he did a great job. Comes with a whole presentation, and they said it was very well received. So he'll be coming on Thursday the 19th from 6 to 7:30, and that is sponsored by Friends as well. We have our chess club is ongoing on Saturdays from 12 to 1, and as I mentioned, that has attracted kids from 12 to 72. Let's see, I think that's about it as far as programs go. The Buzz Lightyear, they call it You Start You Reading with Buzz Lightyear. And so it's, as I said, it's an initiative of the Mass Educational Assistance Authority. That is Friday, October 6th, and I hope people make it. There's no registration for that. So Any questions about programs so far? Okay. The next page on your handout should be the budget to date. We usually go by quarters, so it looks about right, given that we've not incurred an expense that we ordinarily would have. So everything looks fine. If you guys have any questions, please let me know. Okay. As far as facilities go, I am having an additional camera installed in one of the areas of the library that didn't have one before. It's just something we've talked about doing for just about 6 or 8 months now. So I'm working with the chap who took over the camera business from Leo, Eyewitness Systems, went belly up, and we work with Rockford Electric now out of Vernon, Connecticut. They took over all their customers, and it's probably between that and the infrared replacement camera, it'll probably be about $750. So much more reasonable than I thought it would be. I think because the wiring is mostly in place, so. That's just an upgrade to our existing system. Let's see, what else? Any questions? I really don't have any other, I hate to tempt fate, but the HVAC system's been running pretty well. I know. Well, when we have these extreme days.
Those traffic numbers are very impressive, and I hope that everybody that's listening, that may be listening to the program, appreciates those numbers. I mean, Dudley is, what, 10,000 people?
11.
11,000?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so folks moved in, I guess. But those numbers certainly indicate that there's a lot of folks that are finding their way to the library on a regular basis. I don't know if we're getting some, perhaps, from Webster, given the circumstances over there, perhaps?
I think so.
But I almost hesitate to say this, but given my look at what's being built in Webster, I think ours may be a more welcoming facility than that erector set that's going up on the main street over there. Excuse me, anybody from Webster who might have
Don't
heard
hold
that?
back, Richard. Say what's on your mind. No, I'm sure it'll be very lovely once it's finished. It's still in the very infant stages of being built. So I've seen mock-ups of what it's to look like, and I'm looking forward to a tour when they open.
Interesting.
Yeah, and working collaboratively with them.
Yes.
Yeah, I know the director there, and she's a great gal, and so yeah.
I would imagine their situation will improve tremendously with regards to technology as
Oh,
opposed
yeah.
to what they had in the past.
Even for us, 7 years down the road, I mean, it's just, you blink your eyes and
Yeah, it's a different world.
it's a whole different world, exactly. But yeah, it's when just a little note on the Saturdays. Our first Saturday was the 9th, and we had a fairly steady stream of people through. And many of the people that came through were so delighted that we're open on Saturdays now. So many people came in with their kids and said, we couldn't come in because of sports or after-school programs, or I just don't plan to get home from work in time and I'm too tired. So, I imagine it's probably going to take several months before we ramp up, and start doing a little more programming on Saturdays. So
Definitely needed.
yeah,
Definitely.
yeah, I think it was good timing. So so we're looking forward to that. And speaking of which, it's under old business, but I'll just address it. We've hired an interim part-time circ aide. Her name is Lisa Rice. She started a couple of weeks ago, And she's doing great. She's the interim replacement for Tasha while she's out, at least through the end of the year. So, yes.
I just want to give a shout out to George Martin
Oh,
and our United Way volunteers.
yeah, I have that on my list.
Because last Friday it was United Way Day of Caring, and we had a group that did a ton of weeding, did some planting of mums, did a lot of trimming, and George Martin, our superb volunteer, kind of organized it all and did a great job, and the library looks better for it.
Yeah, it looks great.
Yeah.
Yes, so we thank United Way, and I put it up on the sign.
Yes, I took pictures of it.
For the
and
day
sent them
of
off
it,
to
yeah.
United Way.
And Mafre.
Yep.
Our volunteers are primarily from Mafre, and they, we see a lot of the same people every year, so it's great. So,
Yeah,
we thank
Mafre
them.
organizes it with the United Way, and there must be, all over the two towns, there are probably close to 150 people floating around.
but it's not
And
just Mafre.
It's mostly Mafre, but
Yeah.
Gentex
Yeah.
sends a crew,
Yeah.
and Webster 5 sends a
Yep.
crew.
Yeah,
Yeah,
So,
it's a
they do
good
a great
day.
job. We get some mulch from Brody, and they do a great job spreading it around, plant mums. George and I dug up a bunch of daylilies to plant under the sign, so hopefully next
Oh.
spring we'll see those coming up.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, daylilies and some other things that, depending on if they were put in, right side upper.
Of course
I
they
looked,
were.
I looked down there and I didn't see anything except for mulch, so I'm assuming that they're all fine. George was in charge, so,
Yes, I'm
I'm
sure
sure
they'll be
they're
fine.
fine.
yeah. Yep,
It'll be fine.
so anyway, yes, thanks, Ben.
It's a good idea putting that ground cover in there too, I think.
Yeah, I wish it would hurry up and grow.
Well, yes.
I know it's just been a few months, but I'm impatient for that. Yeah, it's so much better than the dirt that, it was just awful in there.
It's a lot
So,
better.
yeah, so Lisa will, like I said, Lisa will be with us at least through the end of the year, and she will be working most of the Saturdays and Wednesday and Friday mornings. So this week she has training in Sturbridge, so she's tag teaming the two libraries. So
And do get in to meet her. She is, just like the rest of our
Yeah.
Let's see, I think
healthcare, so very positive.
Yeah,
and
she's very
just-
Does she live in Sturbridge?
she
Yeah.
does.
Yeah.
As a matter.
Yep.
She should say. But anyway,
She fits right in with the
Yeah.
rest of the
I
people
go to
there.
Sturbridge to volunteer, she comes to Dudley
There you
to
go.
volunteer.
She's not volunteering,
volunteering.
we're paying
Oh,
her.
that's right.
it just seems that way,
It just
Pat.
seems that way, I know, you're right. To work.
Let's see,
Correction.
so, let's see. Okay, so we went through the calendars. I mentioned that we were closed on Columbus Day weekend. Went through the United Way Day of Caring. Thanks for mentioning that, Ben. We have gone over the financial report. Oh, I submitted my financial report. There's two components to our state aid award. One is statistical and one is financial, and they're due at one right after the other. So I just submitted the financial one. We were a little bit early, but I wanted to get that out of the way so I could concentrate on hiring people. And that was submitted. And also, the earlier you submit it, the earlier your award gets out to you. So hopefully we'll hear November, early December latest on that. So I will be conducting telephone interviews for the youth services position this week, and I will be scheduling in-person interviews the week of October 3rd or 10th, depending on schedules. Still kind of working that out between the interview team and me and the people. So we have an all-staff, we've been participating in staff training with other libraries. We have a group of probably a dozen libraries, I would say, in this area. And we decided to band together instead of trying to do training in an isolated manner and bearing the cost all by ourselves. And plus, it's one of those things that, you mean to do it, but you just never get to it because of time, mostly. And we don't have a huge staff, so, I try to send different people and then occasionally close for a morning and do an all-staff training. So that coming up on November 15th. On October 3rd, I'll be sending Lena and Heather to a training in Charlton. I believe that's a morning training, so I'll have someone else work that day. I'm not going to close that day, but they'll come back and share what they've learned with our staff. And that's, I believe, on customer service, handling like conflict situations and, things of that nature. So looking forward to that. So we have an all-staff training on Wednesday, November 15th, 8:30 to 11:30 in Sturbridge. And the topic on that, we've got about a half a dozen topics that we're choosing from on that, and we haven't pinpointed it, but they're all applicable, stress management, time management, things of that nature. So, but I figured that's one that would be useful for everyone. And then we'll open from 1 to 5 that day. So I try to keep those to once a year or once every 6 months or so that it's not too disruptive to our service. Let's see. Should I just talk about the programming and event planning process, and then you can go back up to old business? Or
sure.
so finish my stuff. That's what I'm trying to say.
Well, actually, you shouldn't say that.
Um,
I can't help myself.
yeah.
I fit my tongue well.
Too many years.
Well, I think the last thing for me is I was asked to speak about how programs are scheduled and take place at the library. Obviously, we have ongoing programs, so I schedule those with the person. Those are pretty straightforward. Funding is usually established beforehand with those, either through a grant or with our friends of the library. Things like the chair yoga, for example, where that's it's an ongoing thing. Other programs, it kind of depends. Sometimes program presenters will want to, on their own, apply for grant funding from like the cultural councils, the Massachusetts Cultural Councils, and they'll look to us to write a letter of support. And so they'll apply for the grant funding, and we're talking about hundreds of dollars, or even thousands of dollars if it applies. So they'll apply to the Cultural Council. We'll write a letter of support. That's one way that programming happens. Obviously they work with us to schedule a date and a time and so on and so forth, and what room works best and that kind of thing. Other ways are, I get a constant barrage on the listservs of different programs from other directors, things that have worked well. There's a lot of sharing going on the listservs in that regard. So for the adult programs, I'll typically try to schedule at least one special program a month. And it might be genealogy related, it might be cooking related, it might be holiday related, and sometimes it's more than one. And for those, largely those are funded by Friends of the Library. On occasion, like for instance with the Pearl Jam Summer Concert Series, it was a large expenditure of funds, and for those I usually will look to the endowment to fund those, because it's a larger expense and the Friends have limited funds, and so does the Cultural Council, quite frankly. They're spreading it around all the community. So that's kind of my rationale for these kinds of things. So I guess what I'm trying to say is there's no science to it. We learn about programs from all different sources, and the way it works is, if someone has an idea for a program, they should approach me about it, and we can talk about the idea and days, times, target audience, funding, things of that nature, requirements, AV requirements, all those details. And once that's all scheduled and figured out, then either the person does a flyer and sends it to me, and we kind of work together on that, and then it gets published and put out in the newsletter and sent out to different various outlets.
You mentioned, excuse me, you just mentioned AV, and as I recall, we had an issue with a projector not that long ago. Is that
Yeah, it's
resolved?
some wiring. I haven't. It works. It occasionally requires me to climb up on the ladder and retighten the VGA cable.
OSHA approved ladder.
Exactly. But it's been working. Don't jinx me. Yeah. It is on my list of things to
I don't
address
think
though,
this is
because
wood,
I do feel like we need to address that. The wiring is in the wall. The problem is the wiring in the wall, so it's not trivial. It's not just like an outlet or something
Right.
like that. And it's something we'll probably want to update at some point.
You mentioned
It's
those
wireless.
folks from Vernon who were helping with the camera. Is that part of anything they'd be involved in?
Maybe I could ask them, actually. That's a good point.
You know, if we're going to have them on site, maybe two birds with one stone, or two projectors and a camera.
I'll check on that.
Thank you.
Sure. Does anyone have any questions about the way that all works?
I'm sure I'll learn from month to month. I'll learn more and more.
Yes.
So I don't have any questions right now.
Kathy, did you
It's-
have any regarding the project that you wanted to do, or
No.
at this point? Okay.
It amazes me from month to month, you know, the number of things that you get into a calendar. It's almost as though you've blown up the 12-month calendar, and every day, every month is 32 days or something to that effect.
It does take
It's
a
just
lot.
shoehorning all of that into the hours the library is open. Obviously now Saturday, a little more flexibility and some open
Yeah.
time, but up until then, there really hadn't been much of any.
I will be, I have to say, between, the building itself and the programming, those are probably the biggest amount of time that it takes to, out of my time and
Mhm.
energy. And it's not, it's not normal that, it's more typical for a library to have at least a part-time programming librarian. So I've been talking about this for years, and I am very likely going to pursue at least a part-time programming librarian. I'm not sure whether it'll be adult or adult and teen, or just like straight across the board help, you know what I mean? With me still planning the adult programs and the youth services person still planning the others, and then this person kind of assisting with all the PR and the funding and all of that's just takes an enormous amount of time and effort. And just getting it out on time to all the places that it needs to be it's a lot of work.
And then
So-
prep that day too, set up and making sure.
Yeah,
we have this
yeah,
all
exactly.
done.
So, but we just make it, and I have to say, the part-time staff really pitches in a lot and helps a great deal on that. I couldn't do without them. They go over and above the call of duty. So, yeah, we do a lot of programming. My colleagues at other libraries look at our calendar and say, yeah, you do a lot of programming for such a short staff. But, the community appreciates it.
Oh, definitely. Thank you.
All right, should we jump back up to old
Old
business?
business.
And discuss meeting minutes transcriber?
I did meet with the town administrator, and we discussed the issue. Michelle, as I understand it, would be available, and they're actually in the process of hiring another person. I think the name was mentioned and I've forgotten it, but their recommended compensation would be her current hourly rate, which is $21.69, as I recall saying.
And like with a minimum of 1 hour? I mean, I wouldn't think this would take a professional very long to do, but I'm assuming it
No.
would be a 1 hour minimum.
1 hour, I think, would probably be the minimum, yes.
Depends on how long
How
our
long
meeting
the
lasts.
meeting is.
Right.
Yeah.
I know, but I mean,
That's
we don't
motivation.
have a lot.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's motivation, that's right for us.
Yeah, really, keep us moving. Yeah.
I think she could do it much as Brian does his job, you know, in terms of.
Just speed it up.
Multitasking perhaps, but, you know, I don't think it's as challenging as it might be in some other committees or some other groups.
Well, she's used to doing minutes too, though, so she knows
Yeah.
what she's doing there.
I did observe on Monday night, there was a meeting prior to the selectmen's meeting, and one of the things, one of the most valuable services she seemed to provide was bringing in cold water. She managed to keep everybody well hydrated so that they were able to continue with the evening's activities without any problems. I don't think that would be required here, certainly.
So does this person come to our meeting or do it from
They
Brian's
could,
table?
I would think it might be best if they were to do it from the recorded.
Yeah, I assumed that from our last discussion.
Right.
Okay.
Because otherwise, she's under hourly rules. and
Exactly,
you're
yeah.
Right.
3 hour
Yeah,
minimum
yeah,
Yeah,
for a shift.
okay.
And does every town board pay Michelle?
That, from what I understand, she receives a range of compensation which goes pretty much from nothing to something. I think what Mr. Balcones is looking to do is to standardize and to get things somewhat in order, as opposed to what has probably been very informal in the past. I think in some cases it was a, gee, thanks, nice to see you here, and don't forget next month kind of compensation. So I think his intent is to try to get that somewhat organized, where over time it's been a little, well, arbitrary.
Have we decided to do this, or are we just still tossing
We're
ideas?
asking for more information.
We're asking for information, and that is the information that's available now. He did say that he wasn't entirely sure that that number that he gave me was accurate. He was going to email me, but I haven't, this has been a few days now, I haven't received an email, so I'm going to assume that that is the accurate figure. It would be up to the committee, or the board rather, to decide whether we opted to go with that. It does provide us with professional, if you will, and she's done this for a number of years. She's a wonderful person. I don't think personalities need to enter into this, certainly, but I think she's more than qualified and has been doing it for a number of boards throughout the town. And it does give us a neutral, if you will, transcription of the events that occur as far as our meetings are concerned, should that ever come to be an issue down the road.
And doing quick math, it'll add about $260 to our budget for a meeting a month. I mean, unless we have
Maybe
special
about-
meetings.
So do we,
Yeah, entertain a motion.
okay, I'll entertain a motion.
Okay. I make a motion that we hire Michelle to do the minutes of our meetings.
I would second that.
Any
We'll do right this
discussion?
type of change, since I don't usually do it.
Right after I said that, I was like, oh, I should have opened it for discussion. Any discussion, further discussion on this? All in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed?
I didn't hear you, I'm sorry.
said aye.
Oh, excuse me. Unanimous.
It's been unanimous.
All right, if then it's the board's wish to go forward with this, I'll touch bases with Mr. Balcones and see when we can set a schedule up and let Michelle know, and however he wants to handle that as far as the mechanics are concerned with her, because obviously we're going through him to her, so it's not impossible, but it's not as direct as otherwise might be. I did ask him about the other issue in terms of, that we brought up before, in terms of having names, as many of the boards in town do have. And I think he said something to the effect that in the 35 years that he's been in town government, he's always had a nameplate in front of him, and he showed me his original, in fact. Apparently, of late, they've been purchased from W.B. Mason. And the only thing he suggested we do if we decide to go forward with that is that we have the slide in, slide out, so that we can change the name but not lose the original holder, if you will, for future reference. So, I don't know, do we have, the library, I would assume, has an account with W.B. Mason, I think. So I guess we could order those on our own if we choose to do so. I guess we go through the town if we opted to do that. I have no idea what the cost of those things are.
I know someone who can do them very inexpensively. And she's
That's
sitting around
probably better than W.B. Mason.
and she's sitting around the table. But I'm not pointing any fingers.
No, it
It
was
won't
a
be
pen.
grass, let me tell you.
There won't be
I could
grass.
make it look like grass.
Oh, okay.
Just a little Photoshop work would take care of it.
Oh, great. That'd be wonderful. I mean, it'd probably be better than the garden variety thing that everybody else has. Because there is quite a variety in town in terms of, some of them look very homemade. I'm sorry, I should say home crafted, I should say. Maybe that's a more dignified way of looking at it.
I won't put that in the minutes.
Oh. I've already dumped on Webster, so I don't want to get anybody else's ire up. Thank you.
All right, so now we'll jump down to new business, to the trustee reference materials.
Yes, I am putting together a binder that will be in the library along with accompanying CDs with the information on it that will have our mission statement, our bylaws, our plan, the staff job descriptions, and some materials that I'm downloading from the Mass Board of Library Commissioners trustee website that I think can be helpful reference materials to us. I'm also including a simplified, and you'll see the title when you get to the library, probably by this weekend, Robert's Rules that we can keep in the library and just refer to as needed. And this was after researching. A lot of Robert's rules are very like corporate, and when you have smaller boards, there are some lessening of the strictness of the rules. So it's a good reference material for all of us.
One-stop shopping.
Yeah,
Good.
And you're going to keep that right where our folders are?
Yeah,
in
right
that
there,
vicinity?
yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Just
Thank you.
as the Library Board of Commissioners, the state commissioners have what was it? How was it phrased? It was a new trustee training program or informational program.
Yeah.
I don't know whether they've forwarded anything to you yet or not.
No, it's not posted on the website yet.
No?
They're very valuable, though. When they come up, you know, I'll keep
Well,
my
I was
eye out.
going to encourage you,
Yeah.
to participate.
Mhm.
They usually have them regionally. I think the one I went to was in, wow, where was it? It wasn't that far away. But
Yeah.
hopefully there'll be one
Unfortunately,
close
many
by.
of them are on a weekday, you know, a Friday or
Right.
something, so if you work, it's difficult. But sometimes they're on Saturdays. And also they have legislative
Southborough,
breakfasts.
that's where it was.
Yeah, legislative breakfasts too, which are usually February, March, I think.
February,
is-
March,
Right.
beginning of March.
But
And
it-
that's when the people from the state come in and talk about budget and funding and,
I found it very worthwhile.
yeah,
Hopefully they'll have something scheduled soon.
yeah.
And it gives you a chance to meet some of these people too,
Yeah.
because you may see emails from them during the course of the year, and you
Mhm.
kind of put a face with it, know who that is.
Yeah, exactly. And Karen mentioned listservs that they have for the library directors. They also have them for Board of Trustee members, so you can get on listservs. And people ask various questions about, you know, funding, or we've got a new library, how did you manage it? Could you send us a copy of your programs? We can see how you did it. And, you know, just various
Mhm.
information that is helpful just to see what other libraries are doing too. And you find that on Mass Board of Library, MBLC site.
Yeah, and one of the things that they do in that program is they make you aware
Mhm.
of all of those resources that they have, and
Yeah.
the different, not only the programs, but obviously the things that they posted, which is, again, I thought very valuable.
Mhm.
Would it be worth it? I don't know if everyone has access to, like, I know I have a Google account, and I have a team drive on my Google account where we could all look at the same information at the same time. So instead of giving, like, just in case you wanted to update anything, you don't have to make a new CD every time.
Mhm.
You could just put it into the team drive, and we could put our current minutes into that same drive. I don't know if that's okay or not, but.
Yeah, I guess we could do that. I found trying to get people with different levels of technology.
Oh, yes.
Guilty.
I put two hands up on that one, right?
Which I was also going to address that.
That flows right into your next.
It does, communication, and I've determined that emails are probably going to be the best way for me to communicate with people. I did try to go through Outlook Calendar to set up the meeting, and I think some people probably didn't even know what that was when they received it. So email will be the way that I get information to you. And well, I think that's a good idea. I don't know that it will work for everybody. So.
It's until the library has that Ask a Techie program, and Ben and I can
right, exactly.
upgrade our skills.
I got the
obviously
email
is needed.
asking about the meeting, and I clicked on confirm. Did you get my confirm?
I didn't know. Oh, and I can't do confirmation on the Mac.
weird.
Yeah.
That's too
I
bad.
have to upgrade the Word.
I just wondered
No, I
if
didn't.
it worked. Because I don't have Outlook, so does that matter?
Maybe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the difference.
Okay.
I think everybody's dealing with
Yeah.
different assortments of things.
Yes. So, okay, email it is, and there'll be information at the library for people to reference.
Thank you.
And please answer Pat's emails so she knows what's going on.
Do you get, when I respond that I will be coming, are you getting those from me?
Yes, I
Oh,
am.
wow, okay. Thank you. I mean, you never really know for sure, I
Yeah,
suppose.
I do try to, I
Usually you
try
say
to at
thanks.
least say okay or thanks, and
Yeah,
just acknowledge it in
exactly.
some way. Some days I get so many emails, or if I've been away from the computer for a couple of days. I get a little overwhelmed, but, yeah.
All right. Is there any further discussion or any other topics anyone wants to discuss?
I'd like to commend our co-chair on the meeting well run.
That's right.
Thank you.
Very well done.
Just for, just because Randy's here,
Yep.
I'll, when normally, like on, just so you know, when I prepare invoices, I'll usually do them on a Thursday or a Friday, depending on if Monday's a holiday. And now we're open on Saturdays as well, so that helps as far as signing. But I collect them all during the week, and then on Thursday evening or Friday morning, I'll go through and I'll do a cover sheet, and I'll write the account number and stuff, that everything, you know, what comes out of what line item and so forth. And I put everything on a cover sheet so that you guys, you know, when you go through, you can see, you know, kind of, so you don't miss any, basically. And then each one of those invoices needs a signature, and I need 4 signatures before I turn them into Town Hall on Tuesday evening. So that's when I send out the email. Are you getting my emails?
I am.
Okay, good. Just double checking. And so, you know, once, and then trustees will trundle in, and so what I was going to say is let me know when you're available so I can show you where everything is back there.
Lovely, thank you. Saturdays, I'm so glad you're open on. Are you there on Saturdays?
I've been there the last 2, yeah.
That'd be lovely. All right.
I will not be there this Saturday, though. I got the day off.
Good. You've been working the tail
So,
off.
but I'll be there on, so yeah, it would be great if you could let me know when you're gonna come by, like just this first time.
Of
I don't need to
course.
be there every single time, because then, you know, that would be crazy. But just so I can introduce you to the staff and, you know, give you the 10-cent tour and show you the, you know, the rub as far as the invoices and that kind of thing. And then I had a couple of other things to give you as well. So, yeah, okay?
Thank you.
All right, you're welcome.
All right, our next meeting, we did not decide on in October?
Yeah, you did. I'm sorry, I meant to bring that list. I did,
have it.
I sent everyone
I
the.
have
Oh, yeah, October
October 24th.
24th is the next library trustee meeting. Do we want to go through the other dates?
Well, the only question I think I had, and I addressed that in the email, was the day after Christmas. I think it was the December 26th.
Oh,
And it seemed like that might not be a good
Okay, so
time to
that's
have
it.
it.
Yeah, we're good.
I think we skipped December last year.
Yeah, I think we had some weather issues, a few weather issues too that caused us some.
That's a tough day, the day after Christmas.
We did skip one. What we did was
We brought, I
We
think,
pulled
January
one-
earlier,
yeah,
and we just
and
kind of
that-
did
that
one.
covered both months
We did
or
like
something
6
like that.
weeks
Yeah.
for 2 meetings, and we can definitely do that again.
Uh-huh.
It's-
I don't know about
We
you
have
guys. I
control.
don't want to meet on the 26th.
No, 26 is out.
So we'll
Go ahead.
update, I'll update that and
That's easy.
repost. So forget what I sent you, Brian.
Do you go into
I sent you a list
November?
of
I mean,
PDF
New
files
Year?
with the.
What's the
I
November
already
date?
have,
Does
if it's
that
the
fall into
fourth Tuesday of
Thanksgiving?
It's
the month,
the
I have already
Tuesday
set
after.
with
Oh,
my
Well, it was
okay.
the
So
28th.
that would work. I did the
Thanksgiving's the
same thing.
23rd.
Yeah, so that would work.
Yeah, I think we talked
Yeah,
about
yeah.
that one already,
Mhm.
so yeah,
Yeah.
the November meeting.
Yeah.
That's not too bad. The 23rd is Thanksgiving. the
Yeah, it'll be
28th is
the
a
next
meeting
week.
date, Right. The 26th of December is just,
Oh.
we'll still be eating and wrapping anything, I'm sure. Chasing new toys and whatever
We'll
else.
still be decompressing from families.
Is the library even open that day? The day after Thanksgiving, or the day after Christmas?
Um,
Don't you have a
It would be.
holiday?
It's
Yeah.
not, it's not one of our holidays off.
No?
No, wait a minute.
No,
I don't remember.
Yeah,
Boxing
you're right.
Day?
We have Monday off.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right, you have Monday, so
Yeah.
you, yeah, okay.
I keep forgetting.
What if
Yes,
we
we're
did
open.
Go to the 9th.
like January 9th? and we
You want to
cover-
jump to January 9th instead of, we're supposed to meet the 23rd of January. If we skip the 26th of December, we go to like January 9th, we'll do like 6 weeks and then go to another 6 weeks to February.
February.
Okay, so
Okay.
change January to the 9th.
Okay. And then February, it just stays the.
And then we'll go back to normal.
You just have to, well, actually, it won't really matter, because historical comes in at 6:30, that's all, just the heads
We
up
will.
now.
Okay, so we will not do a January meeting, that will be our January meeting too, is that what you're saying?
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, we will not do a December and we'll change one meeting in January to the 9th.
Fine. Okay. Next one.
That's good.
All right, does anyone have anything else?
Make a
Motion to
we
adjourn.
Seconded?
All in favor?
Aye.
That one always wins.
All-
6:10.
Okay.
Yeah, there we go. 6:10.